family. I want to say good morning to you. Hope you're having a good Monday today. We are in the month of May, and today we are on episode 12 of the Mindset Mondays series. And the topic of our uh, discussion today is the discipline of detachment and letting go without losing yourself. I want to talk to you guys about detachment this week in hopes that it will bring a lot of perspective to you about the things that you may attach to that may not be serving you anymore. See, if you're new to this channel, my name is Jimmie Scott Jr. I am a certified life coach, a public speaker, spiritual mentor, and a brother to you in Christ. And a lot of times we become so attached to things that don't serve us anymore that we forget our sense of purpose of what we're trying to do in life, because it's hard for us to let go of that thing that we really need to let go. And so today I want to talk to you a little bit about detachment being a good thing and how to detach in a healthy way. So first off, let's talk about what detachment is. Detachment is the practice of releasing control, outcomes, and expectations without losing yourself, your sense of purpose, or identity. So, releasing control of outcomes and expectations and just control in general without losing a sense of your purpose, without losing a sense of your identity, without losing a sense of who you are as a person. To detach, pull yourself away from, not be connected to without changing yourself. That needs to happen, especially in our minds as we develop our mentality. Why? Because in order for us to achieve the goals that we have, there are some things that we don't need to be around. In order for you to fulfill the purpose that you keep dreaming of, in order for you to achieve the things that you have planned for yourself, there are a lot of things that you should not be attached to in your life. Some of these are vices that you've been attached to for a long time that you need to get rid of. Some of these are people that you've been attached to for a long time that don't serve you. And so we need to learn how to healthily detach in a healthy way. These are things that we have to push ourselves and continue to teach ourselves on how to do. And so I want to help you here with that, right? So understanding detachment, releasing control, releasing outcomes, releasing expectations without losing yourself, your sense of purpose or your identity. So want to acknowledge those who are in the chat. Hi, where are you from? Hey, thank you for joining me here in the chat here today. I want to pronounce your name. I want to try to get it right. Thanvir. Shout out to Thanvir in the chat this morning. Thank you. I am from Texas. We are here in the state of Texas in the United States. I want to say greetings to you. Happy Monday. And we're talking about detachment here today. So healthy detachment. I want to start there. What does healthy detachment look like when you are pulling yourself away in a healthy manner? One, you have to understand that some things are out of your control. It is a healthy thing to do to detach yourself from situations and outcomes that are out of your control. There are a lot of things that you just cannot control. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control people. You cannot control past. A lot of people wish they can control the past by trying to control the present. Well, because this happened in the past, I can dictate the future by controlling the present, and there are a lot of things in the present you can't control. We cannot control who our leader is. We cannot control who our bosses are unless you work for yourself. But there are a lot of outcomes that are out of your control. And you need to detach yourself away from those outcomes. And that's a healthy detachment, right? Second thing, not all expectations are for you. Just because it's an expectation that has been placed upon you does not mean that that expectation is for you. You need to detach yourself from expectations. Your family may have expectations of you to be a specific person. Maybe you're in a relationship and there are expectations of you to become a specific person that they may have in mind. That does not mean that that's for you. Sometimes these expectations that people place on you are expectations to limit you from becoming the person that you see yourself to become. That's a mouthful. Let me say that one more time. I really want to slow that down because I really think that that's important. Sometimes the expectations that people place upon you are limitations that actually limit you from the potential that you see for yourself to achieve your goals. So not all expectations are for you. I'm not saying that every time someone has an expectation of what they expect of you that it's not coming from a good place and that you shouldn't consider it. But that doesn't mean all expectations are for you. And then the last one that I have for you, thinking about healthy detachment, it's not always personal. It's not always personal. Everything in every situation is not personal. Not always. Sometimes it is for yourself, but not always. And so if it's not personal, then you need to detach from it. You need to see it from a different angle. You need to see the situation from a different angle. You need to see the outcome from a different angle. You need to see these people from a different angle. Not everyone in your life is a personal thing of the decisions you make towards them. And sometimes, same vice versa, the decision they make towards you is not always personal. Like if you were in a business agreement where you're in a partnership with someone in your family and you found that they were doing practices that were not conducive to the success of your business, if you were put in a position where you had to let them go and separate, then you have to separate. It's not personal, it's business. If it's not making you money just because they're family, you need to detach because it's not personal. It's business. If they're not a great employee for your business, just because they're your uncle or your cousin or your brother or your mother, then you have to realize that this is not personal. I need to detach from this. Healthy detachment. It doesn't always have to be severed detachment, like chopping down a tree, just whack after whack. It doesn't have to be that way. It needs to be healthy. Now, here's the next thing I want to talk to you about. Attachment outcomes. What happens when you are attached to something that you shouldn't be for too long? Well, one of the biggest things that I started to think about when looking at this topic, you have an inner conflict when you are attached to something that's not good for you. Or in this case, there's a war in your heart. You are at war in your heart when you are attached to something that's not good for you. Why? Because in your heart, you want to try to transform that thing to be good for you. And again, there are things that we cannot change. There are outcomes that we cannot control. And one of those things and outcomes is people. You cannot. That is not, it's not even your job. It's not your responsibility. It's not even within your power to change people. You can influence people, but you cannot change people. You can't change anyone. People are going to change on their time when they decide to make the difference and make the change. And so therefore, when you're attached to something that's not aligning with your values, that's not aligning in the path for you to achieve your goals, you're going to be at war within your heart. There's an inner conflict. You're going to always be constantly battling what's good for you. And it may even change or warp your perspective about what you need in your life and the things that you need to accomplish your goals. Well, if we take in consideration people, maybe you're thinking about the relationships that you've once had. and you know some of these people are not good for you in your life. But yet in your mind, because of other factors that be externally, beauty, personality, all these other things, you warp your mind to mold them or graft them into your purpose, what you're trying to do, even though you know there are a bunch of red flags to where they don't fit in. And so because of this, you're at war, because you know what the truth is and you know what you need to do, but you know the decision that you've made and you know what you have done. And you may be wanting to get out of it, but you don't know how to do it healthily, and a healthy detachment like we talked about. Again, some things you have to come to an understanding that, hey, I can't control this person. I can't force this person to be the type of person that I need for my life in order for me to achieve my goals. You can't do it. So therefore, you need to detach. Letting go without losing yourself. Don't lose yourself. If someone doesn't align with your life and they don't align with what you're trying to do, you need to be able to detach without sacrificing your morals and your values. This is what I believe a lot of us really need to do. And maybe you're the person that's like, hey, I really need to learn how to pull myself away from this situation or this person or this outcome or whatever the case is, without changing myself, because I know what it takes for me to get where I'm trying to go. Maybe this is for you if you're trying to understand how to do that. So, how do we do it? Well, attachment and detachment is heavily tied to emotions. When you get attached to something, you usually are attached to it because of how you feel. It's usually tied heavily to an emotion. Maybe you're attached through love. Maybe you are attached through duty. Maybe you're attached through loyalty, family, right? Maybe you're attached through a sense of purpose, right? Which still caters towards duty. Whatever it is, you may be attached emotionally. Same thing when it comes to detaching. Detaching is often associated with emotions as well. I'm going to detach because I feel in this season of life that this is not good for me. How do you know when something is not serving you? You feel it. Oftentimes, there are logical signs where you should know it, but us as human beings, we don't often operate off of what we know. A lot of times we operate on how we feel, because we don't just feel physically, but we can feel spiritually. And so when you're talking about detaching, you have to understand how to let go emotionally. And that's what I want to help you with your mentality here today. How do you let go in a healthy way of something emotionally? Well, you have to grow in emotional maturity. You have to understand and realize that as you get older, or as you experience more experiences, that there's some emotional maturity that you have to have about the situation. One, you got to be able to think things through. Two, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. Some of these things are out of your control. There's really nothing you can do about it. And so here's that emotional maturity. Either A, you're going to cry about it, just like babies do when they can't have their way. You're going to cry about it and the situation still won't change. Or B, you're going to understand that there's nothing you can do. And you're going to look at the glass being half full and realize that I can look at this situation this way. I can look at this relationship this way. I can look at this season of life in this manner. There's nothing you can do about death, about a loved one passing away. But how you can perceive on how you're going to live your life is the different mindset and mentality to allow them to pass away and let that go emotionally. Will you forget that person? No, you will never forget that person, because that's a loved one. You're grieving. But emotionally, to where it affects you of achieving your goals and living your life to the fullest, you can detach yourself emotionally from the weight of that grief to continue to live. That's what we have to do as humans in order to continue to live. Because the goal is living life, not dying with the other person. You don't want to die when others die. You want to live. You want to learn and then live from their example. So it's emotional maturity, having emotional maturity. Second, letting go emotionally. When you're allowing that, you're now creating a space for peace. When you're able to let go and detach yourself from people and circumstances and situations, you now create a space within yourself to have peace, because your mind and your heart is no longer at war with the thought of what you should be doing, of what needs to happen, and all of these things. Your mind is now focused to where you can create an atmosphere of loving yourself and being at peace with yourself, knowing yourself, knowing your values, knowing your character, knowing your goals, and aligning yourself with what you want. It's peaceful to be at a place where you know yourself, you know what you want, and you know what it takes to get there. That is peace. Peace and purpose. Knowing brings peace already. But when you're aligned with it and you're walking in it and you're not allowing other influences and you're not attaching yourselves to things that don't take you towards it, that's peaceful. Because you know it, you know what it takes to do it, and you're not going to allow these influences to attach themselves to you, nor are you going to attach yourself to them. You're creating a space of peace. Maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you need to create a space of peace. Maybe you don't need to answer the phone every time they call. Maybe you don't need to go every time they need you. Maybe you don't need to be giving them advice right now because you're not in a space, and maybe it's not peaceful for you right now. Maybe you're trying to figure some things out in your life right now. Maybe you don't need to be doing that. Create a space for peace. You can let go and still care. You can let go of a situation. You can let go of a problem and still care about it. But you're letting go for peace, for sense of clarity for yourself, for understanding. Sometimes you need to let some go so that you can further understand it. But then also in understanding it, you understand yourself. Sometimes you need to let some go so you can grow. You need to let it go. Sometimes when you're planting the seed and you're growing the flower or the vegetable and it's not coming out the way that you needed to come out, maybe there's something about this process that you don't understand just yet. Maybe you didn't even plant the seed in the right season. That's why it's not growing, but you don't know it. So because it's already on its way and it's holding you back from learning what you need to learn, you need to step back. You can still care about the plant. I'm not saying stop watering the plant. I'm just saying let it go of the attachment that you have to the plant so that you can learn more about and understand the plant and understand how to properly take care of it. But you can let go and still care. Same thing goes with people. You need to step back from these relationships, these friendships, these workships, so that you can understand how the dynamic of it works. But while you're doing so, you can still care for the person. I'm not saying be rude. I'm not saying be disingenuous. Step back. So, here's something I want to leave for you as I wrap up our Mindset Mondays episode here today. When you are trying to detach, and it is tied to that emotion, one thing you need to consider spiritually is to trust in God in doing so. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 through 6 tells us to trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not unto your own understanding. And in all of your ways, acknowledge him, which is God, and he will lead and make your path straight. I actually have it tattooed right here on my arm. Trust in the Lord. I'm always reminded that whenever I'm pulling away from a situation or a person or an outcome, especially if it's something that I can't control, I need to have a reminder, and the Holy Spirit reminds me to trust in God. Trust in God with all of your heart, because the outcomes of those things will be catered towards what God desires for you. You can't see it all, and you don't know it all, and at all times the things could be different for you. But when you know it in your heart that it's something that you need to do, then in order for you to fully do it and create that space of peace, it requires a lot of deep trust in God. It requires you to trust in God fully with all of your heart, all of your mind, all of your being, all of your soul. To say, you know what? God knows more than what I know. God knows this isn't good for me right now in this season. And the only way for me to let it go is I need to trust in God that he has the power to take care of the future for me. And in doing so, when I acknowledge him, which is verse 6, in all of the things that I do, Lord, I'm not good at this. Lord, I don't know how to have this conversation with that person. Lord, I don't know how to walk away. Lord, I keep thinking about these outcomes that I can't control. I need help. When you acknowledge God in all of your ways, all of your shortcomings, all of your when you fall, when you do that, he then can make your path straight and tell you exactly which way you need to go, how to have these conversations, what to say, what not to say, how to do it in a peaceful manner, how to do it in a kind and respectful way, and how to detach in a healthy way. Hey, I appreciate you for joining me here today. Shout out to Omar, who joined the live here today. He says hello to you, Omar. Thank you for tuning in. Vanshika, shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in and joining me. Anybody else on the live, shout out to you guys. I want to thank you guys, especially for those of you who are subscribed to the channel. Really means a lot to me. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to share this video with someone who really needs to hear it and someone who needs to learn how to detach from things in a healthy manner. Also, leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on the video, and subscribe to the channel so that you can continue to get more videos just like this one. I appreciate you, man. I pray nothing but blessings and peace over your life as you continue to walk with me on this Christian journey, and I'll talk to you next time.